Hi, my name is Crista Slyck Matteson, and I'm a glass artist. My interest in diatoms came when I did a collaboration with a climate scientist, Roger Fuller. The idea of the exhibit was to pair up scientists with artists, and the artist's job was to interpret the scientist's research in a way that would engage the public, and hopefully they would read more and learn. Every art piece was followed up with a statement of the meaning of the work. My art has always reflected my interest in nature. I think it has sort of two themes. I definitely focus on the mountains, the Cascade region, and the areas around the Salish Sea. I find it really rewarding ever since I did the diatom meadow installation with the climate scientist, I really find it much more rewarding now to think about a topic, an environmental topic, that I would like to convey in the art before I start, and really do a lot of research on that topic. The topics that I base my art on are very important to me, and I think they're urgent topics. But I also tend to be a positive person, so I want the art to be beautiful, something that'll draw people in. I tend to use a lot of intricate imagery and detail to get people interested in the art, enough that hopefully then they will listen to the art talk, read the artist statement that goes along with the work, that would give them interest in the environmental topics that I am trying to convey. Yeah, I think the glass, the fragility of it, the transparency of it, gives it kind of an ethereal quality, which I think works with a lot of the themes that I deal with in my art. The environment's fragile, it's beautiful, it's not going to be here. You know, the beauty of the environment is not going to be here forever if we don't take care of it. So the piece in the exhibit, Falling Water, that piece is made all of recycled materials, and it came about just because putting together this solo show, I wanted to see, could I actually do a full installation that was all recycled materials? And I had been recycling a lot of plastic bags through Ridwell, the recycling company, and I was kind of astounded by how many are one household. We had a lot of plastic bags, and so I thought, what can I make with these? And I came up with the idea of knitting together plastic bags with reclaimed textiles, and a lot of the textiles I dyed them to get the beautiful color gradations, and I just started knitting. Wasn't really sure what I was going to make, and then I started researching more about microplastics in all of our waterways and the rivers and the ocean. So that became sort of what the piece was about. It's a river, you could call it a river of trash. It's all recycled materials, but it represents how we have a lot of microplastics in the environment. So the three large photographs that were in the show, they are actually, originally they were just small collages that I did. I take a lot of photos when I'm out hiking, skiing, and paddleboarding. I'm always taking photos when I'm out in nature, and I use those for inspiration actually in the glass pieces. So those photographs were small in my sketchbook, all just cut and paste, low-tech collages that I did at a point when I was just kind of wanted to generate new ideas. So when I start a piece, I do a lot of sketches to start out. Because I do work in multiple glass techniques, I have to start with which techniques are going to be the best, and sometimes I use them all. Sometimes I use just a couple, and it just depends on which is going to work best for the forms that I want to make. So with using all the different mixed media and different glass processes, like I said, I always start with a sketch, and I almost break it down like a blueprint. this piece is kiln cast. And I will even do little sketches of how they're going to be attached, because that is part of the process that's most complicated, I think, in the way that I work, is how am I gonna meld all these different glass techniques together, because the glasses aren't necessarily compatible. So I have to cold connect them. And so there's a lot of engineering that goes into the piece just from the start. Along with the importance of color, the one thing that really drew me to glass is you can work with both transparency and opacity. And that's a really interesting thing. And that's something that also pretty much has to be planned out from the beginning. And there's different ways to achieve that by different glass techniques. With kiln casting, if it's cast thin, it's much more transparent. If it's cast solid, then it's not going to be transparent. But I like to work that out from the beginning. I think about it. Which pieces do I want transparent? Which do I want to look more solid? Sometimes I feel really limited with glass in the sense, and especially the techniques that I work in, the kiln casting. Everything takes so long. It's a very slow, tedious process. But I love the end results. But one thing I'm always struggling with is how can I work more spontaneously? And one way I do that is I do plan. Basically, like I make like I said, the blueprints, and I plan. I have to engineer how things are going to fit together. But a lot of times, like a project I'm working on now, I'm just making a whole lot of pieces, lots of little tiny pieces, and the spontaneity comes towards the end with a lot of the fine detail, because that is not planned out. That does evolve as I'm working on the piece. My favorite piece in the exhibition is probably the mini habitat, the microclimates of Meadowbrook. I actually made that piece for myself because I looked around my house and thought, I don't have any of my work. I sell it all. So I really want a nice piece for my house. So I designed that one for a space in my front entryway. And it is my favorite piece. I put a lot of time with all the flame working into it, and I'm glad I did. Right now, the main project I'm working on in my studio, I'm really excited about. It's bringing my art career full circle. I started out as a costume designer, and I'm now working on a costume for a glass fashion show that will be in New York in June at the Corning Museum of Glass. They juried artists from all over the world and chose 100 artists to make a costume. And then they chose a handful of artists to follow their process of creating the piece, and throughout the fashion show to make a documentary. So there will be a documentary film made about it. But my costume I'm really excited about. It's a lot of flame working and pâte de verre glass, which are the two techniques I do that are the lightest weight, because the biggest issue with making a glass costume, the requirement is it has to be 80% glass. It has to be glass from head to toe. Even the shoes have to have glass on them, and a headpiece. So I am creating a costume that relates to the show that I had here at Kirkland Art Center. It's called The Land of Falling Water. The headpiece is about 2 feet off the model's head. And it starts with the Cascade Mountains and moves down into the Salish Sea with a train of ocean themed creatures, diatoms, trailing behind the costume. But it's all glass, and I'm really excited, and it will be done in June.